Hello everyone, welcome back to the Pushing Horizon podcast. Some people run to escape. Timothy runs to become a marine, a father, and a man who refuses to settle for average. He's the proof that discipline doesn't end when the uniform comes off. With about 5,000 miles a year on his feet, every step he takes is a commitment to his kids, to his values, and to a higher standard of living. This isn't just a story about running. It's about choosing purpose over comfort, choosing to rise when life tries to pin you down. If you ever needed a reason to show up for yourself, to keep pushing when no one is watching, Timothy's journey will light that fire. This is grit, this is growth, this is what relentless looks like. Please let me introduce you to today's guest, Timothy Boss. Hey Timothy, how are you doing? Welcome to the podcast, and I'm so glad you're here because I've seen your runs, I've seen what you sent me, and then I'm looking at the questions that I'm going to ask you, and it's going to be a great conversation today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to do this. I really like your podcast, and I've been anxious to get on here and talk to you about running.
I'm also very excited and listening to what you have to say about your journey and everything because you're badass and you have such a dedication, and that is what I always struggle with is resilience.
Resilience. Yeah. That's a tough
It's
one sometimes, man.
yeah, it's a few times because I talked with J2, and that is one word I struggle to say that I don't know why. But yeah, your journey is amazing. I know I only followed you shortly. It's not been a while that I followed you. So can you please give us a quick introduction about you?
Absolutely. My name is Timothy Bass, and I've been running for seriously since 2019. I'm a dad. I'm 45 years old. I live in Southern California. We run a family business here out of Glendora, California, and running is, I'd say, more than my passion. It's my lifestyle, and it's something that I've used to mold and shape my life, and it's turned me into a man that I didn't even know that I wanted to be.
It tells us what we can do with our body. One day we always doubt ourselves, and then the things we do is incredible, just like you. Can you please tell us about your journey on becoming a dedicated long distance runner?
For sure. I started running when I was in the Marines, but it was basically a requirement for training. So it wasn't anything that I did as a pastime. It was something that I had to do. So from there, I didn't do any type of structured running on my own until 2006 when I decided I wanted to run the LA Marathon. I can't even remember what sparked me to want to run the LA Marathon. It was just something that popped into my head. I opened up my mouth and told a few coworkers about it. So then I was locked in. So I trained for 3 months. I got up to about 8 miles a day before work. So I was feeling good about it. And I ran the LA Marathon and I hit the wall really hard at mile 19. I told myself, I'm never going to run a marathon again. That was a one time thing. And it was for about 15 years. I didn't do much running. I would train for a 5K or a 10K here and there when I was trying to get back into shape, or at times I was trying to focus on my fitness, but it was very sporadic. It was up and down, nothing consistent. In 2019, I started taking my health and my fitness a little more serious because I was getting a little older. I wanted to make sure that I stayed in shape for to be a good dad, to set a good example. And in 2020, I just fell in love with running. I fell in love with everything about it, the whole aspect of it. So I started setting these personal goals for myself each year. I set a goal in 2020 to run the equivalent miles from my house in Glendora, California to New Orleans Superdome from Louisiana. My kids and I are Saints fans. I told my kids I was going to run 1,875 miles for the year. And then COVID hit. I wanted to get my sons involved with my running as well. So we ended up running 25Ks that year. I started my Instagram page doing running challenges with my sons. And I ended the year with 1,965 miles for the year. After that momentum of that, I told myself, this feels good to set these goals and accomplish them for the next year. So in 2021, I said, I'm going to run 13 5Ks, 13 10Ks, 13 halves, and 13 marathons. And I set that goal out there. I told everybody I was going to do it. So again, I had to lock myself into it. And I did it, man. I ran all of those different race distances. I had a weekly schedule. And then every Sunday, I would run a different race distance. And I ended up with all 13 of everything I wanted to do. And I ended with 2,457 miles for that year. I couldn't stop after that. I felt really good about running. I felt myself gaining a little more confidence in my running base. So the next year in 2020, I said, let's do 8 marathons and 3,000 miles. Did that. I ended the year with 8 marathons, 3,100 miles. And I said, how can I top that in 23? So I said, let's see if I can run 5,000 miles. And I did it. I set out to run 5 marathons and 5,000 miles. I was hitting 100 miles a week very consistently. And I ended up with 5,073 miles for the year and 5 marathons. So 2024, I told myself, because I was tired after 2023, 5,000 miles. I told myself that's just my goal was to just stay consistent with my 6 days a week running. I've been running 6 days a week now for over 5 years. So I wanted to just stay consistent. My mileage in 2024 was way lower. I only ran 1,500 miles. And I started to feel like my body was craving those big numbers again. So this year, 2025, my goal was to set out and see if I could top 2023. So my goal is 5,100 miles, and I'm on pace to break that right now.
Yeah, that's insane and impressive as well, because 100 miles is not easy, and doing that for such a long time is just incredible. And no wonder your body is tired after 2023, because it takes a toll. Running is difficult and people don't realize it, but sometimes you accumulate fatigue and it hits you. And when that hits, then it's just worse. So I'm glad you took a year off, because that's probably needed and why you felt tired. And 5,100 is the magic number for this year. That's
That's the year.
incredible.
Yeah, that's the goal for this year.
That's 8,000 kilometers. That's insane. I did 2,500 last year, and I was like,
That's
oh
good.
God. Yeah,
That's still good. Yeah.
So what inspired you to run your longest distance of 31 miles?
I just love running the long distances. I feel like I like to run fast. I like to run fast and I like to run for a while. And I feel like I get faster as the distance increases. I've done 29 marathons to date. I like that distance. And then I heard somebody talking about the ultra marathons, and they said an official ultra marathon is 31 miles. And so I told myself, hey, what can I do in 31 miles? How fast can I do it? So I planned out a route of 31 miles and I got out there, and it took me 4 hours and 47 minutes, but I eventually got it done. I got home and I needed a big cup of water after that. But no, man, I just needed to know how I could do on that 31 miler. I've done that twice now. I'm not sure if I'll ever run a 100-mile race. I'd never say no again, because I said I was never going to run a marathon again after 2006. But 31 was the magic number for that day, and I got out there and I did it.
I also raced yesterday for the ultra marathon. Everybody has been doing this, and there have been so many people like who came talking onto the show, and then they were like, they have been inspiring me for a long time, and I always wanted to do it, but I was always putting it up. But then yesterday I registered, so I'm just like done now. It's booked, so now I have to, like you said, and I put it on Instagram, so now I have to do it.
Yep, that's
So
right. You're locked
I'm
in.
locked in.
Absolutely.
4 hours 47 minutes is insane for 50K.
Yeah, it felt pretty good. I felt like I had a good, strong day that day. At the moment, right now, with the pace that I'm hitting, I feel like I might be able to beat that a little bit, but I felt good about it. It was a good day for me. So, yeah, I'm proud of it.
Yeah, that is awesome. You are hitting such a insane numbers, right? So 5,100, 5073, 5,100, and almost like 100 mile for so many months. And so how do you mentally and physically prepare yourself for these kind of things?
I think mentally it starts when I set my goal in December for the following year. I have a spreadsheet. I put everything down in writing, and it's basically like a contract to myself. I have a mentality of if you can't keep your word to yourself, you really can't keep your word to anyone else. So I don't compromise on that. Rain or shine, I'm out there. If I say I'm going to run that day, I'm going to run. Plan out the whole year, so I know I'm locked in for that year. Physically, I try to fuel my body with good, clean food. I don't drink alcohol, so I think that helps me recover. And I've also come to grips with the fact that I'm pretty much always going to be sore. Running this many miles, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it in your legs. You're going to feel it in your back. Prioritize my sleep to physically make sure that I can get up and keep doing this every single day. And then in the back of my head, I know that there will be a day that I won't be able to do this much volume. I'm going to get older and I'm going to have to decrease those miles a little bit, but I want to collect as many miles as I can while I can. So that's how I physically and mentally take care of that.
That's true. Every day we get older, and then our body, the recovery is slower and slower. I was talking with Alex. He is a mobility coach. We're going to have a new episode released tomorrow. And she talks about the same thing, that we should quit when we want to quit and not when our body doesn't allow. So you are taking care of your body and doing everything. You're doing the right thing. Where right now you can, so you are doing everything you can. But one day, then you cannot do all this kind of thing. So I like what you said. And I like the idea of
I want to
putting
be
it down.
an old man running. I want to be that old man running down the street when I'm in my 80s. So I want to just make sure that I keep my body and used to running the miles. That way, whenever the miles have to decrease, it's still going to be a lot of miles for an 80-year-old. You know what I mean? So I want to keep it moving, man, as much as I can.
That's the mindset. Everybody should think it like that. We have to take care of body because it's one body. And if we take care of it, then we're going to get sick. The injuries happen and then we cannot run. And I was talking with Erin yesterday, and she said, thing, and it just hit me right now, is we choose to do it. Running is something we choose. It's some people cannot run because they simply can't do it. But we are putting an effort to do this, and we are choosing to do this. So we should be grateful that we
Oh
can
yeah.
do this. And so what you just said, and it just made a quick connection. Yeah, I think we all think the same way.
Yeah.
It's the running thinking.
Yeah. It's a good mentality.
And also, Alex, she has this Maven's therapy ball. I ordered one of it and I wanted to try it because my glutes are really tight. And what she said, and after talking to her and everything, and how it helps with the soreness and everything. So I bought it and I'm going to see how it helps with my soreness and recovery. She's been doing it for 15 years or something. And she told me that there will be no soreness after the run. Of course, the legs will be tired, fatigued because of this run, but the soreness that we feel after we use the ball properly, then it will all be gone. So I'm looking forward to arrive it here. If it works, then I'll tell everybody that, okay, maybe we should try it. I knew her for a long time. I used to follow her and she always did the mobility thing. And I've never really paid close attention to. And then when I said I want to talk to her, and then she told me, then I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And now I see her page every day and see what she posts because she's been posting about all the hips mobility thing. And I was looking at all those she has been adding on. I think it's just amazing that we don't really pay attention to so many things. And then
Right.
after we have this conversation, and then now we're like, oh, wow, yeah. And then now
Yeah.
I'm hooked up every day. I'm going to check out page and I'm like, what is he doing now? So it's been interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that episode.
Talking about this recovery and stuff, so how do you balance these high weekly mileage that you have?
How do I balance them?
Balance recovery.
Recovery is a work in progress for me still. I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me. And this year I've focused, I like sweets. I like honey roasted cashews and chocolate chip cookies. And I love that type of stuff. But I have to remember that's where the inflammation comes from, is the high sugar intake. This year I've really focused on lowering my sugar intake, increasing my protein. I'm not big on carbs. I don't really like to eat a lot of pasta and stuff, which for runners, we need those carbohydrates. But I try to just eat a lot of eggs and meat. That really helps me with my recovery. I do a lot of sauna. I try to get 3 or 4 sauna sessions in each week, sweat out as many toxins as I possibly can. Sleep is always one of the best things for you whenever you're trying to recover. And I just think the consistency of my running, my body knows what to expect. I've been doing this for a while now, and my body just knows how to bounce back. I've been fairly lucky when it comes to recovery. It feels like my body's recovering pretty good in between my runs.
And I like what you said, that you don't take a lot of carbs and a lot of protein. And a lot of people don't realize that proteins are the things that repairs all the muscle tissues that you have teared during the run, whether you're doing a workout or something. And that is one thing that we all need to take more, because it really helps up with the escalation of all recovery that you have, especially at night. So I try to take protein before I go to bed. So when I'm sleeping, then all those things kind of happen. So maybe that is why like your recovery is faster, because the protein really helps to adjust everything and then get you heal up back together quickly.
Yeah, I think it does help for sure.
And also, your weekly mileage is impressive.
Thank you.
Running 100 miles a week. So, what does your training look like to maintain that? You said you run 6 times. So is there any training, any stuff like that in between?
I was running 6 days a week since 2020. This year, I decided to go 7 days a week. I found myself on my rest day feeling, I wish I would have ran today. So I told myself this year, let me just see how it feels to run 7 days a week. I've never really done a streak like that without a rest day. So I wanted to try it this year. I like to do all my miles in the morning. I have a family, I run a business. So I want to get them all out of the way before anybody wakes up and needs me. So I get up every day at 3 o'clock. And then by 3:33, I'm out the door starting my watch. So this year I decided not to run a set mileage each day. I run a set time frame each day. So Monday through Friday, I do 2-hour runs every morning. Saturday, I do a 3-hour run. And Sunday, I do an hour and a half run. So my goal is to see how many miles I can fit into those time frames. Right now, I'm hitting about 14 and a half to 15 miles a day on my 2-hour runs. I'm getting about 21 to 23 on my 3-hour runs. And I'm getting about 10 and a half to 11 miles a day on my hour and a half runs. For the first 3 weeks of this year, I was in the high 90s of mileage per week. But I've hit, ever since that third week, I've hit 100 miles a week consistently. And my highest mileage for the year weekly has been 109. And right now I'm hitting at 104, 105. And I think I'm almost marathon ready. I'm going to set out to run a marathon at the end of this month. I do incorporate a little bit of weights. I do a lot of body weight. I do 150 push-ups a day. I do my sit-ups each day. 3 different times during the day, I'll get up out of my seat because I work from home. We own our own business. I'll get up out of my seat. I'll go into the garage and I'll do my push-ups, my sit-ups, just body weight squats. I do dips, things like that. Things to just keep my upper body more toned for my core and everything to keep me running. I love cardio, so I have to like really focus on keeping myself on the strength training, or I'll just run all the time. But I think it's all important. That's my weekly training schedule, is just the high mileage then I have to do it early or I won't get it done.
Yeah, I was also like that. In Phoenix, I used to wake up at 4:30 and then go
Mhm.
to the gym first thing. And also for me, I wanted to do this, so I'm done. I don't have to worry about it. Phoenix is used to be, and you wake up at 3:30. That's amazing. Running is not easy
Mhm.
because it requires such a dedication and effort, and it needs to be consistent. We cannot be like, oh, I want to do it this week and I don't want to do this week. But you've been doing this the same thing for so long, because for everybody to hit this long mileage, discipline is very important in a game every time. Like with those the time frame of run that you have, it's just amazing. I like your mindset because it's really hard and a lot of people can do it. It's a discipline and I really admire that. That's, yeah, kudos to you that you.
That's how I look at running. I look at running less of a sport and more like a martial art, like a discipline. It's something that you have to dedicate yourself to and then put in that consistent work. And it's just taught me so much about consistency.
Indeed, because it's pain. Running is pain, and you have to endure that, and you have to be okay with it. And that is also a lot of people can do it. If you run, even to run 100 miles, then that is like a long time. Like some people
Mhm.
might be okay with 50, 60, but the more you run, the effort and then the endurance and then enduring all those pain and suffering is
Yeah.
just mentally. Yeah, your mentally it is awesome. I like it. We only talked about the nutrition. You said with less of carb and more of protein. What has been the biggest challenge you have faced in your running career so far?
I think the biggest challenge in my running career, it's more of a mental challenge for me. I really pride myself in my ability to do hard things. I get a lot of self validation from doing hard things. And that's absolutely served me well in life. It allowed me to start my own business, which is tough. It allows me to continue to be a solid dad, which is always hard to do. But in 2024, I only ran 1,500 miles, and that is still a lot of miles. But it started making me feel like I wasn't doing enough. And that's the biggest challenge for me is making sure that I'm not just looking at myself as a set number of miles each year. I'm a solid runner because I am consistent. I'm a solid runner because I am disciplined, right? The mileage is just something that I get along the way while I'm practicing discipline and I'm practicing consistency. So that's been my biggest challenge is to keep the actual goal in mind. The goal is not the amount of miles that I'm running. The actual goal is to be consistent, is to be disciplined, and is to stay on track. And as long as I'm doing that, the number really doesn't matter. The number is just a byproduct of me being disciplined and being consistent. So that's been my biggest challenge is to just remember that I'm doing just fine. I'm enough. I think sometimes as runners, we forget that because we are so focused on the analytics, we're so focused on the numbers, but it's not easy to get up out of your warm bed every day and get out there and do some running. So we got to give ourselves a pat on the back for that.
Indeed, and also in this day and age where with social media, everything is in the fingertip, and then you see and you scroll through Instagram and you see so many things people are doing, and then it's always one of those problem is how can I be content? What is and how can I not compare myself with somebody else? And I think that's been one of the major problem for a lot of people is when they see somebody running 5 minute mile or 6 minute mile and they see themselves running for so long, so
Mhm.
much, and this comparison is what that kills us. And then sometimes it is a factor because it's not nice. Like we train, so I'll tell you a story. My brother, I don't like round the year. My brother, he runs marathon and he trains for 2 3 months. That's it. He doesn't train for more. And
Right.
every time he beats me. He beats me, and he's natural. He has this determination that when things get tough, he can just pick himself up and then just run. He did so for last year and with 6 7 weeks of training, and it's insane. And I
Yeah.
run all the time and throughout the year. And then sometimes it's demoralizing because you see and somebody who's training for 7 months beating you, just oh god. And I do it every year, and I think now I'm okay. Now I'm
Yeah.
content because I can't control that. I cannot control what happens in the race day because there are a lot of factors that comes into play. So now I've learned to be okay. Last year I was so focused on running faster, and that kind of killed the joy for me because I
Right.
failed in Berlin Marathon to get my goal. I was injured, and then I got sick right before the marathon. And after 30, I was like, I just couldn't run at all, and
Yeah.
that kind of killed that joy. So this year I don't have a goal for end of the year like I used to have before that. This year I don't have it, and I'm just trying to fall in love with it again because I want to run, but then I hate it when
Yeah.
and I've been thinking myself every time I go run. It's oh god, I hate this, and so
No, it's hard not to compare yourself. It's definitely a trap that it's easy to fall into, especially with social media and especially whenever runners look at other runners. That's just what we do. So it's definitely tough to keep yourself on track of this is my race, this is my pace, this is what I'm doing.
hopefully I can get back to it and feel that love again because I just don't feel that love that I had. Or when I first ran, I was so happy, and then now when I run, I hate it.
Yeah. I think doing this podcast is going to help you get back there for sure.
I told Angus last year, I told him after Berlin Marathon, I'm gonna do a ultra marathon, and then I've been putting it up. And I see him go go and he DNF, and he went and he conquered that race again. And I was, oh my God, that's insane. And I see people go through so many things, and it inspires me because it's all on our mindset, right? At the end of the day, it's how much we want it and how much we want to do. And Milton, Bo, then Bobby came in, and they had just been running. And then the last straw was yesterday, Erin, when she came in and she talked about her DNFing the something Arctic race she did last year when she was injured too, and then how she have other thing coming. I'm just, people are doing these insane hard things, so I should not just be okay with doing a marathon and just running one marathon a year and just sitting. I need to do more, or at least I need to try. If I DNF, then it's fine, but I need to try and make a goal of at least challenging how much I can do myself. Right now, I don't know if I can do marathon. I know I can do marathon, but I don't know if I can do a ultra because I have not put myself for the test yet. And yesterday, after talking to her, that yesterday I just went and I looked and I was like, okay, this is one I picked. So finger crossed.
Lock it in.
Yeah, I did yesterday. Now there is no going back. So it will be interesting. We earlier talked about that 5100-mile goal that you set, and you've been doing this for so long. You have to be up to schedule and everything. What is a motivating factor for you to pursue this number?
I think motivation, but behind all my running is what started me wanting to run. My kids, I always want to do things to show them how to set goals and to follow through on things. I started out my Instagram page by doing challenges with my son, but with running. I just want to show them the benefits of being consistent. Most of the things that I do in my life is to try to get my kids to think I'm cool. I've been a dad since I was 19. I got a 25-year-old daughter, a 21-year-old son, a 14-year-old son, and now I have a 1-year-old son. So I've got to stay in shape to keep up with that little guy. It comes down to the fact that I want them to see me as somebody who's strong and somebody who's a man of their word. If dad says he's going to run 100 miles a week, you better believe dad's going to get out there and run 100 miles a week. So that's always my motivation. They're sound asleep when I'm out there doing my running, but they're always going to be my motivation no matter what.
That's nice. Kids look up to their parents. It's really good that you are setting this standard, and that's really going to help them to everything in life. So yeah, kudos to you. You're doing a great job. And also, when you have set yourself, the standard is so high, so what are key strategies that you use to ensure that you're on track to get your goal?
I think preparation is my strategy. I always make sure that my running gear is ready the night before, waiting for me to put it on for the next morning. I keep my sleep a priority. I get as much sleep as I possibly can. Packing accordingly whenever I travel, that's always something that I like to do, making sure that I have all my running gear whenever I have to do my runs away from home. Logging my miles every day, seeing where I'm at with my goal, that's always a good thing to do. Make sure you're logging those miles in. That's a part of my strategy. Logging the amount of miles I put on my shoes, that keeps my joints from failing on me. That keeps me healthy. That keeps me going. I treat running like it's a part of my workday. I treat it like it's just another part of my life. You get up in the morning and you brush your teeth before you start your day. I brush my teeth and I go on a run before I start my day. So that's just part of something that I do. The biggest strategy, I think, is just my early morning schedule. Life gets in the way, especially when you have kids, when you have a business, when you're trying to do everything that life throws at you. So if you can get out there and get that run in early, the rest of the day should be pretty easy for you. So they're my strategies for making sure that I hit my goal.
I like that. I like that. That's why I always wanted to do the first thing in the morning. Once it's done, you can carry on with everything else. And at least your workout is done. So you don't have to come back and, oh God, I haven't done my workout. And then you're tired at the end of the day. I like that. I like approach. And also, you have such a high load every week. And maybe sometimes there has been injuries, or in order to prevent the injuries, how do you make adjustments?
Something that's really important to prevent injuries is just staying within your pace. I try to stay within my pace for the run that day. The same runner can run the same route 3 days in a row, and you're going to get 3 different runs. It just depends on how you feel that day. And I have to listen to my body in the first mile, see where I'm at, what pace am I going to hit, and then gradually start increasing my cadence. Once my body does start warming up, I think that does help me to prevent injuries. Like I said before, logging my shoe miles to make sure that I'm not running in overworked shoes. I've got a deep shoe rotation to make sure that my legs are fresh and I'm not running in beaten down shoes. Knowing my routes, I've run over 13,000 miles in and around the city that I live in. So just knowing different routes that I have. I've learned a lot about foot placement. The big thing, I got hit by a car in 2020. So making sure that I'm visible out there in the morning, making sure that people can see me, making eye contact with the driver. That's always a big thing. And I think that the foot placement is just really huge when it comes to preventing injuries. I try not to overstep my stride. I try to watch my form and everything like that. I just got to make sure that people can see me when I'm out there, because sleepy drivers in the morning, they will definitely run you over if they have a chance.
Yes, and especially in the morning, because working all night, then that's when they fall asleep, because it's hard in the morning after all night of work. So I'm glad you're okay now. Hopefully you have something to keep you more visible, the late and everything. So yeah,
Absolutely.
stay safe, man, in the morning.
For sure.
And also, you are so much consistent throughout the year, right? But have you ever had to make adjustments to your training plan, routine, so that you are getting the goals that you see?
I have. This year, we had some pretty bad fires in Southern California at the beginning
Yeah.
of the year. The air quality was really bad. The wind was really heavy. My 2 hour run, I only was able to do an hour and a half of it that morning because the air was so bad. So I decided to run an hour and a half. And then later on in the afternoon, once the wind blew some of the smoke away, I was able to get out there and get my 30 minutes in to keep my 2 hours for that day consistent. Other than that, it's been all routine this year, but I've never been afraid to make adjustments as long as the end goal stays intact. If I set out to run 10 miles on a Wednesday and 5 miles on a Sunday, then if I only get 8 miles on that Wednesday, I'll tack those other 2 miles in on my Sunday run. I'll make adjustments where I need to just to keep my week intact. But I think as a runner, life happens. So if you're not flexible enough to make those adjustments, but make sure that you stay with your original goal, then you're going to have problems. You're going to start feeling some self doubt. So give yourself some leeway. Make sure you have some room in your schedule for some adjustments.
Nicely said. And we talked about running and things. You have only focused on running on the roads. So how does it compare to trail running in terms of physical and mental demands? Have you ever tried trail running?
I've tried trail running in 2021, 2022. I tried a couple of trail runs. Running on the roads just works better for me. I run so early in the morning. I don't want to get in my car and drive to a trail. I like to
Mhm.
just step outside my house and go on a run right there on the road. I've never been really one for hiking or camping or things like that. So trail running to me feels like more like hiking than it does running. So I like running on the roads. I like running where I can see the city lights. I like running in downtown areas. I like to see different neighborhoods in my city. I've done some road runs in some pretty remote places and they were just boring in my opinion. I love being out in nature. I don't mind being out and about in nature and I enjoy a nice stream and I enjoy the mountains. But when I'm running, I like to have some sidewalk and some pavement to run on, some street lights, and that's just how I like to do it. I like the civilization of it all.
I know what you mean. Trails are sometimes harder. Lucky for me, one of the trails that I run, it's right here. I can go from here. It's a very famous trail that they have here. You can see everybody. In the morning, it's usually quiet, but in the afternoon, everybody. It's a European thing that people love to walk. If you go in the afternoon, then you see so many people. Sometimes like it's whole kindergarten and sometimes kids with the teachers and everything and going through and strolling. It's the
Okay.
European thing. I've never seen this thing in US. I've never saw people walking because we don't really walk, right? And
Right.
from everywhere we go from car to car and everything. But here it's just the train station, and from there everybody is walking, and it's nice.
Yeah.
I also used to be a road runner. I'm still a road runner until now. When I ran trail, I found both interesting and fun because I love to run in the road because my cadence is faster, my feet move faster, and I can run much faster. But when it comes to trail, then I have to work so much harder because there is not a lot of traction, and then my quads are working double, my calves are working double. So usually when I run from here, then initial 7-8 kilometers, I hate it. But then I reach the road there and it just feels so much better. It feels, oh God, thank God. And I go there and then I come back and then it's same thing. That's the major difference I found between trail and road is that when I go through trail and onto the road, then I find it's so much pleasant and nicer because I don't have to use so much of more effort just to get my foot moving. And it sucks sometimes in trail because you have to use so much of your power.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of trail runs on social media and some of these places that these guys are running. I'm just like, dang, how do they get out there and do that? They've got trek poles. They're doing all kind of stuff to make sure they have their traction, and kudos to them. But it's just, I'm always going to be a road runner. I like road running shoes. I like the path. I like just running on the roads. That's for sure.
I know what you mean. I'm 50 right now. I don't know
Yeah.
what will happen after I do the first ultra, but we'll see. And also, do you have any advice for runners who primarily stick to the roads when it comes to finding route that minimizes the injury and relatively stay injury free?
I would say the biggest thing is to take responsibility for your own safety. No one's going to look out for you when you're out there. A lot of times they won't even see you. So take responsibility for that. Wear the high visibility vest. Sometimes some people don't like to wear them because they don't like the way they look, but it looks a lot better than getting hit by a car. Clear your intersections. That's something that I've come to do, even if you don't think something's coming, because I run so early in the morning. A lot of times there's nobody in the intersection, but I'm still going to stop and make sure to look both ways. That's just something that I've worked into my running routine. And then just personally, I feel comfortable running against traffic so I can see what's coming and I can get out of the way if I need to. And then number two, I think would be just know your limits. Know your limits of yourself, know the limits of your gear. I try not to put more than 350 miles on a pair of shoes to make sure that my hips and my ankles and my knees feel decent. And that's one of the best ways, in my opinion, for a road runner is to keep injury free, is to just make sure your shoes are good to go, because that concrete and the asphalt is not very giving. The trail runners, they get to run on the softer surfaces, but running on the road, you got to make sure that you got some good cushion under your feet and that you take care of your joints.
And also, we talked about the weather and stuff because sometimes it doesn't snow in LA, but places it does snow. And I don't know if you have experienced that, but how do you keep motivated yourself, especially when you're running only on the roads during the challenges, weathers?
The goal is to be consistent, and no matter what the weather is, for me, California, we do get some decent weather out here, but we do have a lot of rain at certain times of the year. I don't like running in the rain. I can't stand running in the wind. I would rather not, but I can't control the weather, but I can control that I'm going to get my run that day. That's one of the things in my life that I can control is my consistency with running. So I make sure to keep that in mind. Whenever I step outside and it's raining, knowing that I'm going to be cold and wet for the next 2 hours, it's not fun when I first think about it, but when I'm done, I feel like a badass because I got it done in the pouring rain while most people are still asleep. That's always a good thought to have in the back of your head, and you can take that with you through the rest of your day. But yeah, it's just different tough weather and tough conditions and tough terrain. Those are just things that are beyond your control. So let them go, but just be out there and enjoy the fact that you can still run. And even though it's raining, have a smile on your face.
You ran marathon early on and said I'm never gonna do it, but then you had a break and then you came back and doing it. So what mindset shift have you experienced throughout your running career?
Running has just completely transformed my mindset since 2020. It allowed me to work through a lot of different things in my head. I've always been a disciplined person. I've always had a good level of discipline when it comes to certain things, but running has really allowed me to see the benefits of consistency and how you just stack numbers as you go just by being consistent every single day. I'd rather be consistently good than occasionally great. You know what I mean? So I've just adopted this mindset of just seeing how well consistency works in my life. It allows me to embrace the things that are right now. I spend a lot of the time in my life living in the future, the next big thing, the next contract for work, what's coming up next. But when you're running, you have to think about that mile that you're in at that very moment. So it's really allowed me to be in the moment. And it's just every single mile that I run, nobody can ever take that away from me. So it's mine to keep. So that's something that I like to always keep in the back of my head. And it's just allowed me to be a little more vulnerable with myself and be honest with myself. I romanticize running a lot. It's just one of those things. I'm in love with it, and it's just changed me. And like I said before, it's just made me into a man that I didn't even know that I wanted to be. It's made me into a better person than I ever thought that I could be.
Do you feel like it's an addiction sometimes because
Yeah.
we love it, and when we are doing well and have been progressively getting faster and faster, the mindset and you just want to go faster, and you love that feeling when you are just running and free.
Yeah, it's going to change you. It's going to change your life. So you have to just embrace those changes. A lot of people fight against change in their life, whether becoming a parent, getting a new job, moving to a new area. They fight those changes because change, it's scary sometimes. And running is definitely something that if you embrace it, it's going to change your life. So let it go. Just feel those changes and let it change you into something that you never thought you could be.
Changes brings growth.
For sure.
And with running, that's one of the things I learned is to, because I've been in situation where usually you have the option when you're running a marathon and you are in mile 18, 19, 20, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be a quitter, quit it. You just to keep it like with head on fighting and just try to embrace whatever happening and then just take care of what is happening in that moment and finish that goal you set in. It also helped me in some ways try to look at things differently now than how I used to do it before.
Yeah, I think the benefits of what running has done to my mind has greatly outweighed what it's done to my body. And I love running for that. It's given me so much, and I just can't wait to give it back. That's why I get up every day and get out there and run.
It's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful thing to love. Some people can't. I'm grateful that I can run, even though I don't want to sometimes. But the feeling is nice when you're feeling it and when you're in this groove, when you're just hitting it like lock on and then trying to do it, and then it just feels awesome. How do you approach rest day? Do you have any specific rituals or strategy that you swear by to perform at your best?
Race day is something that I try to hold sacred. I do run so many weekly miles. So when I set out to run a marathon, I try to make it something different. I try to make it special. Most of the marathons that I've done have been solo races that I've planned out myself. I got out there and I got those miles. I made my own route and I went out there and done them solo. So I try to set those apart. I always take a shower before I run a marathon, make sure that I'm wide awake, ready to go. I start early in the week, hyping myself up. This is race week, letting everybody know I'm running a marathon this week. So I'm definitely locked in. I always like to run in a brand new pair of shoes. It's just something about putting on a brand new pair of shoes, brand new pair of socks, and a brand new pair of shoes makes you feel good, sets that apart. I always plan and study my route. So I plan the route. I go on Google Earth. I make sure to see where any hazards could be. I try to really take a look at my route and plan it out and make sure that it's something special to me. I make a playlist the night before, something that's going to be the duration of the playlist is going to be about my target goal for the time that I want to spend out there on the marathon. I post a story the day before announcing tomorrow's marathon day. I post a story that morning, marathon morning. I just want to let everybody know that while you were sleeping, I was out there running a marathon. And then I just get up and I start my watch and I tell myself, settle in. It's going to be a long run. And I get it done, man.
It's amazing. And you said you run on a brand new shoes?
I run in a brand new pair of shoes. It's never bothered me to break in shoes. And I would rather run in some nice, tight, firm, stiff shoes than something that's a little too overworked. So I love a brand new pair of shoes. I'm a shoe guy. So I really love a brand new pair of shoes.
That's really interesting because whenever it's tradition, right, is to don't wear a new shoes when you're running a marathon, or don't wear a new clothes or anything. Don't do anything new that you don't do, especially when you're running a marathon. But it's a very interesting thing that you said that you do this. Wear new socks, new shoes.
Yep.
That's unheard of. I don't think I've heard anybody do it.
I love a
Those
pair of shoes. I've done a lot of research on shoes, so I know which ones are going to fit right and feel right. So I put on the ones that are brand new. They feel good right outside the box, and it's time to go.
Wow. And no blisters.
No blisters at all.
Wow, incredible. And also, what would you say to someone considering like a long running streak or aiming for like a high goal like yourself?
You got to start out with building a base. Running 100 miles a week always starts with running 1 mile. So there's nothing wrong with starting out running a mile a day for a week, but you have to build your base. If you want to stay injury free, if you want to lessen your chances of injury, you got to build that strong base. I recommend setting a goal and writing it down, putting it somewhere where you could see it every day. These are my running goals. This is what I want to accomplish with my running career. And then don't depend on anybody else to hold you accountable. It's your responsibility to hold yourself accountable. Logging your miles, that's always good. A lot of people like to see those numbers build up, and the more that you can see accumulate, the better. Don't beat yourself up if you fall short. It's always okay to make some adjustments as long as you keep that end goal intact. So make those adjustments as you go, but just make sure you refer back to that goal that you wrote down. And then I would tell them, just remind them what I said earlier. Once you've run that mile, it's yours. A lot of people have a lot of collections in life. People collect coins or stamps or whatever they collect. I like to collect miles, and it's something that nobody can ever take away from me. So get out there and get some miles, and just remember that they're yours forever.
Indeed, and they make you healthy and live longer and happy lives.
Absolutely.
Additional bonus.
Absolutely.
Running is different for a lot of people, right? For some, it's a therapy. Some run for the mental clearness, for mental health. If they have anxiety, they do for different kind of things. So, how has running impacted other areas of your life, physically, mentally, and emotionally?
I love this question because running has done so much for me. It's just completely changed me into the man that I am today. It's kept me strong physically. It's got my cardio at top tier. Running keeps me comfortable in my skin. It keeps me feeling stronger than I did in my 20s. Mentally, it's given me the time to figure myself out. I'm out there a lot of hours every single week with myself, so it's allowed me to figure myself out. It's given me time to think with clarity and make sound decisions. When I decided to leave my well-paying job and build my own company with my family, I made that decision at 5 a.m. in my running shoes. I did that on the run, and that's where I was able to think everything through. When I'm struggling with a tough situation, I'll put it on my things to think about while I'm running list. I put that in the back of my head and I save that for the next morning, and we put some thought into that while we're in our running shoes. It's strengthened me mentally for sure. Emotionally, running has helped me dissolve my ego. It's humbled me. It's allowed me to connect with myself and build true confidence and not just ego. It's made me fearless to take risk. I've done a lot of hard things when it comes to running, so it allows me to do hard things in other aspects of my life. It's allowed me to be introspective and to be honest with myself, even if that's uncomfortable. A lot of times it's easy to lie to yourself, but running does not allow you to do that. It makes you grit your teeth and get through it and be honest with yourself. I feel like I've formed a true relationship with running, and it's just one of those relationships that the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And it's just become a way of life. It's not just something that I do for a hobby or a pastime. It's something that I do to increase the enjoyability of my life.
That's beautiful, man.
I love it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And also, I don't think I sent you this question, but I'm curious too. What one piece of gear you use or recommend for running that most people wouldn't think of?
One piece of gear most people wouldn't think of. I definitely like my Apple Watch. I'm an Apple Watch guy, Nike Run Club guy. That's where I track all my miles. Think a piece of gear that most people wouldn't think of. That's a tough one, Ash. I got to go with my high visibility vest. I got to go back to that. Not a lot of people wear them. I've got a nice thin one that doesn't look too nerdy. It looks cool. I got to go with that. I want to be very bright and visible while I'm out there.
I like bright colors. course.
Me too. Me too.
I'll wear that too. And also, you run this incredible mileage, and you probably have tried a lot of fuels and gels and stuff. So, what's your favorite go-to gel or snack during a long run, and why?
Can't haven't mastered fueling on the run. I haven't done
Ooh,
that yet. And that's something that is on my list of goals for next year is learning more of the science of running, different fuels, different ways to fuel my body. In the LA Marathon, the very first one I ran, I tried to do a gel and it upset my stomach. Maybe it was just the wrong type of gel, but I've always just relied on having a good dinner the night before and then putting those calories back in after the marathon. A lot of
wow.
times during my run, I won't even bring a water bottle with me. I'll just be really good and hydrated for that night and then do my run and then just rehydrate once I'm finished. During like actual marathons with a group, I will stop at an aid station and grab some Gatorade or something just to keep myself going. But I've never really been a guy for the gels. I've tried it once and it just didn't set right with my stomach. Maybe the technology has come a long way and I can give it a try again. But I'm anxious to see that. And I definitely want to try some different fueling techniques when it comes to race day next year.
It does wonders. I tried so many things, and while I was in US, the goo only worked me once. And when I was doing the Phoenix 10K, and I took that caffeine gel at mile 4 and 5, and it felt like I was on a steroid for at least rest of the thing. But I tried the same thing again; it didn't work. Everything is not going to work on you, and you have to find that one thing that really works for you. When I came here to Germany, I tried the Swiss gel, and that really kicks. Whenever I just take it, like I can feel it, and it's really nice, and it does wonder because it helps you keep getting that carb in so that you can run. And you should definitely try it. The thing is, now there are so many things that are made of like a puree. I
Yeah.
think that is one of the thing Milton recommended, and I got it, and it's like a baby food. It's
Oh, yeah.
like puree, and it tastes okay. And I tried that once, and I feel it works, but I need to try it again to see how that pure thing works, because and it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have any other additional sugar or anything, and it's just
Mm.
pure made of mango puree, and it's just like what the baby would eat.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
give it a
would
try
definitely
for sure.
I would definitely recommend it because you will feel it will do you wonders. And who knows, you can probably keep going and break 4 hour barrier for 50K. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I'll give it a try
Yeah.
for sure.
You said you are an Apple user, so that probably gives the answer. So another interesting thing would be your shoes because you clock so many miles. What is your go-to shoes?
I'm a Nike guy for sure. I love Nikes. Right now, the shoe that I like the most is the Zoom Fly 6. It's got the carbon plate in it. It fits my foot really well. I've got almost all the colorways that they have of it just because I like to keep my rotation going. I really like the Zoom Fly 6. That's a good shoe. And I try to buy the ones that I like because Nike likes to discontinue
Mhm.
shoes. So I try to stock up and get what I can get. But I've tried everything, man. I've tried the Hokas, I've tried different Asics, and they're all great shoes. Even Adidas, they're good shoes, but just Nike just seems to fit my foot well. It seems to have, I get a good longevity out of it. Even for 350 miles, I feel decent when I'm coming to the end before I retire the shoe. But yeah, Nike Zoom Fly 6 is the way to go for me right now.
Awesome. I think those are the questions I had for you. But there's this new thing I've been trying. It's a rapid
Okay.
fire, and it's a 10 quick questions. So just first things that's come on your head, like when I ask you the question, and just try to give it in one or two. Okay, it's gonna be fun.
Let's go.
It's probably already know. Favorite time of the day to run?
Morning.
Morning or evening workouts?
Morning.
Your go-to running fuel, gels, bar, or something else?
Steak then full.
One running accessories you can't live without.
My watch.
Your all-time favorite race distance?
Marathon. Absolutely.
Run with music, podcast, or in silence?
I'd say music for long runs. Podcasts on the daily, but music for long runs.
Biggest pet peeve while running?
People who don't look for runners.
One word to describe your running style?
Consistent.
Running shoes, minimalist.
Pushing.
What's the best running advice you have ever received?
Don't overthink it.
All right, I think that are the questions. But I like to ask this question to everybody. So, running has changed your life
Because it's allowed me to really get to know myself. Yeah, that's it. It's really allowed me to get to know myself.
that's beautiful. Yeah, and that's all the questions I have for today. And this was really interesting to know about you, about your mindset. And I love that you have this dedication and then discipline, and you are so motivated and goal oriented and also flexible based on things in life and everything. And it's really amazing to hear that you run on a brand new shoes because that was the first timer that I've never heard before it. But you're the first person I heard who runs on the new shoes. Maybe I need to do a poll and see what would be the answer. Anybody else does the same thing. But yeah, it's been really great having you, and thank you for allowing me to ask you these questions and get to know you more better. It's been a pleasure.
Actually, I just want to tell you that I see all the hard work you're doing on this podcast. I see all the posts you're doing, all the guests you're getting on here. And I just want to say thanks, man, for building a platform where runners can get on and talk about running. We need more platforms to hear about running, hear people's stories. And I really appreciate all the hard work you're putting in on this thing.
Thank Thank you. Hey everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the podcast. I hope you really enjoy this conversation. I'll see you again next time with another guest. Until then, happy running.